This video will focus on the two aspects of the writing feedback loop, peer response and the writing reviews. And as you look at our writing feedback loop, this is a part of our regular drafting and writing process with each of our drafts. So I'm going to go first look at our course homepage, the Canvas homepage, and then go to the guide on peer response found from the course homepage. And just review some basic principles for peer response. So I love this quote from William Stafford: "No praise, no blame, just response." And that's what you're doing here. You're responding. And you're responding following some basic principles that you'll use each time. I'm going to go through these quickly, but I really want you to read these guides for peer response carefully and reflect upon them yourself and follow them as you do your peer response with your peers. Respond in a constructive, respectful way. Point directly at their writing. Try to be as specific as possible as you talk about their writing. So rather than just saying, I loved your description in the story, try to say something more specific. Point to the writing, like, I like the description you had in the story, especially when you described your grandfather and the moment when he dropped the cat. Overall, you're really seeking to be observational. Your extra pair of eyes will be so important to your readers and to the writers. So be a good pair of eyes, notice things, and in your responses you can frame it as an observation. I noticed that, I see that you have, and really you don't need to comment as a teacher. Your goal is to be a fellow writer and reader, so you don't need to try to fix or correct their paper. And the most important thing also is to follow the peer response questions and let them guide you as you respond. So I'm going to go now into the more kind of how to show and tell part about peer response. And I'm going to go to our class, and you'll see as you get to the different assignments, you'll go through the modules, and we'll look at just Essay 1, Draft 1. And you'll see that in the top of the forum for the peer response are the peer response questions and guidance on peer response, and then the writing review topics. So your first job is to post your paper down here in the reply box right below the first message. And just simply copy and paste your paper in. And let's imagine that this is your essay. And then people are going to be doing peer response on your essay. So they will come in, and the easiest thing is I'd like you to copy and paste the peer response questions from the top. You could get them from the essay cycle assignment sheet. And then in the reply to the draft, paste your responses. And this little text box is small to begin with, but you can stretch it out. And you can do your peer response right here. Type them in. And here. And once you are done, you click Post Reply. And see how it shows up directly beneath the essay. And then once the peer response time period is finished and you've received hopefully at least 3 peer responses, and it's time for you to do your writing review, you'll basically do the same kind of thing. You'll do a response to your own paper following the writing review topic questions. You'll copy them, and then once again reply to your own draft. And I like to make it bigger so I can see, and I can type in my responses below. and once I'm done, I can click Post Reply. Now it's got all my name here. The peer responses would be from different people. So let me show you one example from a past class. So here's an essay from a student, and this person got lots of good peer response. You'll see, I don't know, at least 5 or 6. And then at the very end, that writer posted their writing review. And notice that the writing reviews are not, nothing is really meant as short answer. You know, peer response is you point directly to the writer writing and try to be observational. You really offer a lot of feedback. And they shouldn't be really short, yes, no, this is okay, fine kind of thing. And the writing reviews also have a minimum word count. They should be at least 250 words, and that excludes the text of the questions. So you're going to want to make sure that you do really do some thinking and on the topics, on the questions, and review your paper and think about it as you do your writing reviews. So that kind of gives you the how-to for the peer response and the writing reviews. I think the last thing I want to mention about peer response and writing reviews is, you know, the way Canvas works is it just kind of dumps everything in one bucket, in one forum. And the people at top get a ton of peer response. Like this person, the first one, must have gotten 8 peer responses before she did her peer response. I mean, her writing review. If you look at the people at the bottom, this person had no peer responses. Partly because they were late, but really only 1 or 2 peer responses. This person had none and was only able to do their writing review. So what I'd like you to do is to spread the wealth. And if you see that someone has already received at least 2 or 3 peer responses, look for somebody that doesn't have 2 or 3 peer responses yet. And scroll down, find someone that doesn't have a response and respond to their essay. So try to spread the wealth. Let me show you one other thing about peer response and writing reviews, which is very important, which has to do with timing. Because the timing of how this sequence works is very important. Now, I'm going to look at the assignment calendar to talk about this timing. So you'll see that the drafts are typically due, say, on Sundays, and you're going to have 3 days to do peer response. You might do them the same day you post. That's fine, but you've got up till Wednesday to complete peer response. And notice that the writing reviews are not due until the 28th. And I really want you to wait until peer response is finished until you do your writing review. And that's very important because, as I'll show you in one example here, let me find just looking at. So this person posted their draft and then right away did their writing review, and afterwards they got some peer response. Well, they weren't able to benefit by the peer response and the feedback that the peer response provided in their writing review. Part of the writing reviews is kind of processing that feedback. Of course, if you haven't received any feedback, you shouldn't wait to do your writing review. Go ahead and go forward, but some people, because of Canvas, I lump the assignments together. When you look at the due date, it'll have the assignment. So this assignment is labeled all as one and due on a certain date, as if all of it's due at once. But it's not all due at once. You don't have to do the peer response and the writing review on the same date that the draft is due. You've got time to do the peer response and time to do the writing review. All right, I think that ends this overview of how to do peer response and writing reviews. And I think you'll find that this activity that you do between drafts is essential, and you'll learn so much from each other, and it really will help your writing and the growth in your writing, especially as you move from draft to draft.